Hello, listeners. We're here with another episode of StarCast Podcast. I am really honored to be joined today by someone well known to many of us who've been in the industry for a long time, Ingo Schweder. Ingo is the founder and CEO of GoCo Hospitality and also managing director of Horwath Health and Wellness. GoCo, if you don't know, is a big global company with 4 offices and a huge portfolio of work across 5 continents. You can read online that GoCo's work has taken Ingo to 42 countries, contributing to over 400 projects with a combined value exceeding 4.3 billion. That's billion with a B. They have a client list of who's who in hospitality and wellness, so we're very lucky to have Ingo join us. Thank you so much from Bangkok.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Lisa. Glad to
So,
be here.
Ingo, you have been in spa and wellness for longer than I have, which is saying something. I want to talk first a little bit about how you got into the wellness world, because I think you came up intending to work in as a hotelier. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm wrong, or yes, you did.
No. My career started as a journalist, Lisa. I studied
Journalist, I
journalism.
love it.
And after journalism, some very interesting internships in different cities. I ventured into the hotel business because I just felt that my character was more meant to be in the stream of service, international, global trotting, working in different parts of the world, being exposed to culture and people. And out of this then grew my interest to follow the hotel stream. I went to an American hotel school. I went to a German hotel school. Actually, first to the German hotel school, then to the American hotel school. And ended up being a restaurant manager, F&B manager, general manager. And when I was 31 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer.
What kind of cancer?
I had... Well, it was so vast, the cancer, it had already metastasized. So it was in my testicles and it was in my lung.
Stage 4? I had no idea.
Yeah, stage 4. And during this process there of recuperating, I applied a combination of Western medicine and alternative medicine. Stage 4 means you are about to die. I was given 6 to 8 weeks. I was misdiagnosed by some of the biggest hospital institutions in the world, Sloan Kettering,
Luckily.
Cleveland Clinic, and Mount Sinai. And then I was able to participate in a test, in a trial at the Heidelberg University Clinic in Germany. There's 22 people on which different treatments and different treatments were tested. Luckily, I was one out of 2 people who survived this. For stage 4, really, the chances to survival is very small. Lung cancer at that time, I don't know what the statistics are today, but it was 5%. So I was very blessed, very lucky, felt extremely fortunate. And the way how I achieved this, next to the blessings from above, was a daily yoga class. I hired my own nutritionist. I started to eat macrobiotic cuisine. I meditated. I took large amount of vitamins. I stopped eating red meat and many other, by now very common precautions to detox and cleanse a body. I started
things were not common back then, not eating red meat and meditating. No. How did you know to do that?
I started to read a lot and I started to really contact doctors, professors, authors of certain alternative wellness books from all over the world. And I spoke to cancer survivors and I spoke to people who I also knew were extremely heavily hit by cancer. And I wanted to see and understand what they were doing. And out of this, I really created my own menu, so to say, my own menu of how to survive. And I discovered Ayurveda. I discovered Chinese medicine. I discovered detoxing, as I said, nutrition. And then over a period of 2 years, I bounced back. But 2 years of, physically, yes, painful partly, but really the more important part was the mental part, because when you fight for survival, You become very sensitive. You look at everything. It is the deepest, most complex moments you can experience. Having said so, I also need to share that this was very beautiful moments, because when you understand how you can, through what is now called biohacking, at that time was simply eating the right food, drinking the right things, reading the right books, and doing the right thing. Out of this came also a satisfaction that I was capable of healing my body step by step, very slow, but step by step. And after my 2 years had developed a mental strength and a mental determination, but also a deep down satisfaction and a gratefulness of what life had given me for really what I looked at that time was my second chance, right?
For
I was
sure.
very young. And out of this then came, when you reflect and you are in this medical machine in different forms and shapes, for 2 years, you reflect. When you are 32 years old, you're a manager. I was the manager of the Ritz-Carlton in Hong Kong. What do you want to achieve in life? Because I knew that I most probably had a bit more like inside of myself. Didn't know how much, but I knew. And I said to myself, I want to combine what I just learned with what I do as a hotelier. And in my subsequent phase of recovery, I went to many destination wellness resorts around the world. In Europe, in Asia, in North America. I visited the ones which we know today as well. And I discovered one thing. Either there were good treatments in good healing modalities, but bad hospitality, or great hospitality in bad healing modalities. And I said to myself, oh, there is a niche here. There's a niche where a hotelier, combined with the medical know-how I had gained, could do something. So I learned about destination wellness resorts. I learned about how spas functioning. At that time, we called them spas. How spas functioning. Wellness was a term which was really not yet
No, it wasn't really being used then.
being used at that time. So, and from there, my journey then evolved. First, from a corporate level, my subsequent assignment, I was a general manager for Mandarin Oriental, the Ruffle Group, which was bought by Mandarin Oriental. And I became a vice president for Oberoi Hotels, creating culturally relevant hotels with a hefty dose of wellness. But it wasn't good enough for me. Wellness was too small there. It was still a
Come on,
hotel.
Mandarin set the stage for spa and hospitality.
But we did that in 2001 when I started the wellness division of Mandarin Oriental. This was 1993.
Okay.
Mandarin was the first wellness division at that time. It was in actually 99, 2000 we started this. And then Hyatt and Fairmont came in 2002 and 2003. So it was very early days for us in the hospitality industry to inculcate wellness-related divisions and making this a business segment within the larger hospitality industry.
So you were at Mandarin, and when you joined Mandarin, were they always putting spa in the name as they do now?
No. At that time, I joined Oberoi Hotels. I left Oberoi Hotels, started Ananda in the Himalayas, the first destination spa in India, together with some partners, family members of the Oberoi Group, the chairman of MS, the founder of Regional Hotels, George Raphael. And we sold this in 2000 to Mandarin Oriental. And that's how I joined Mandarin Oriental.
Oh, I see.
I anticipated, quite frankly, to get fired, because as the MD of an entity which was just purchased, you normally don't survive this. And so while I was waiting outside the boardroom and those decisions were made, and then I was invited, anticipating that I was being told, thank you very much. It was nice meeting you and we appreciate your efforts. They said, we want to build a wellness division. Would you be interested? Not true, not a wellness division. I need to say spa division.
Right. Were you shocked?
I was shocked, yeah, because you anticipate to get fired and then, this. But I was intrigued, but I want to also be honest, Lisa. I looked at benchmarks worldwide. I looked at best practices worldwide. In 2000, there was no practice of a global spa division. There was no one company which had globally operated cross-continental and the goal of this division was to establish 15 units in 5 continents. So I had nothing to lean on. And what I did is I took a 2-week vacation in a resort location here in Southeast Asia, and I wrote that business plan. Kind of understanding what I need to do and had to do, presented it, it was accepted. And that's how the Mandarin Oriental Spa Division started in 2000.
So you had to build a team. I mean, you couldn't do it on your own.
No, I had to build a team. I had to I had to understand what spa trainers really do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part was the entire financials. At that time, there was no uniform system of accounts for spa. It was under minor operating departments.
Right.
And there was no detailed P&L. So I had to identify how to even drive that P&L and set that P&L up in motions. It all didn't exist. Then I had to look at, how to increase revenues through the hotel reservation systems. And I understood that the hotel reservation system could not connect to the spa services because they were talking a different language.
To talk to each other. It's so true.
Yeah. So it was very early days. It was a wonderful experience. It was wonderful to be part of the earlier, teams around the globe who started those kind of things. And then it evolved. And in 2007, this company started. It came out of, quite frankly, the understanding that in Mandarin Oriental, it was beautiful. I was then on the board of Mandarin Oriental, the operating board, with 8 other colleagues around the world. It was very clear that I would never become the president of the company because you had to be a lawyer or a finance expert with a banking background. That was not what I had to offer. Therefore, it was clear that I wanted to start my own. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And that's when I started in 2007, a company, first with some partners in the United States. I raised money. It was my money. I raised money, put this into the company. We started the company. The bank we had worked with and where I raised the money from, after the 2008 financial crisis, closed the Denver office. It was called Hospitality at that time. I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember Hospitality.
We had to close it because the bank, it was disproportionate, much more money was spent in the United States versus international operations, but the contracts were all actually with me. I had the contract for MGM Worldwide, in Worldwide, and a few others. So the bank closed down the Denver office. And I was suddenly on my own with 6 employees in Bangkok.
Wow.
And then came GoCo, and from GoCo came the evolution of what we're doing today.
So what was that thought process when you are in this a second in your life challenging situation, starting a company, you have employees you're responsible for, the bank goes missing on you.
Yeah.
What made you think about starting another company and how to name it and what the direction would be?
Well, I knew that wellness hospitality would prosper, even though many of my hotel colleagues around the globe said that I'm a nut to go into a business which was so insecure, was not for men, was for women, they told me, and all kinds of things.
Nobody, even at that point, knew if it made any money anyway.
Correct. But because I had established in my Oberoi days the Villas collection, culturally sensitive hotels with great healthy food, but not really great spas, but wonderful environments and culturally relevant environments. And then did Ananda. So I knew that there was something to be made, but it had to be done in a very dedicated format. It could not be a hang-on of a rooms division, or it could not be a side business. It had to be totally focused on. And I knew that looking at pure statistics, that the world was not getting healthier, but unhealthier. I knew when I looked at the food industry that they were really mass producing the wrong food for too many people. I saw the proliferation of a lot of fast food chains all over the globe in locations they had no entry before. One of the most interesting things is we're close to the Great Wall of China. There was a McDonald's, and I said to myself, well, how irrelevant is that?
Doesn't make
so
sense.
I knew that there was the future. And I wanted to figure out what that future is. And like in Mandarin's first spa division worldwide, I wanted to do something which really goes to the next level. And being honest, I did not know if it was spas, if it was urban centers, if it was destination resorts, but this crystallized by working in it. And then when I started in GoCo, and then our first big client was the Shah Wellness Clinic in Spain. The founder of the Shah Wellness Clinic in Spain had the same cancer than me. And through a mutual friend in London, Victoria Fuller, Indigo 8 marketing, we got to know each other. And out of this, we developed then an understanding of what we need to do in Shah, because he was the developer. I was a hotelier with a very strong interest in wellness. So we put Shah on the map. And quite frankly, the 5 years we were, as it was the first job in this company. The 5 years we were associated, we took it from not so good financial results into positive financial results and lots of great guest satisfaction. And this was the impetus for me at that time. I knew that was the right way of going about it. And so I went, not having enough capital, I went the consulting route first, using my black book and knowing people, developers and hoteliers from all over the world. And we started the Bulgari Spa division. We started Nikki Beach. We did work for the Claridge's, established Claridge's Spa, and many others. And out of this consulting work, at some point then came different other divisions who are now really strong on its own, operating
So
on different offices.
tell us what GoCo means. Where did you come up with the name?
GoCo means movement, advancement, next generation. I wanted to be next generation. I wanted to be moving and advancing, go, move, advance, and creating community, because it was very clear to me it can only work when you create community. At that time also, I want to be fair and honest, many people thought it's foolish to create communities in wellness. I thought, no, living environments, you want to live in an environment where the wellness resort is your clubhouse of rejuvenation, of great food, of movement forms, of good exchanges, and you live in your community. So at that time, wellness real estate wasn't thought about. The term wellness real estate didn't exist, actually.
No, it didn't.
Didn't exist.
Well, we know the importance of community, though. I mean, now, of
Yeah.
course, the research supports it, from blue zones to just
Yes.
anecdotally knowing that you're
Correct.
more healthy and vital when you have other people around you, other humans. So,
But it was not the case at that time. I was often belittled for my thoughts, and people did not believe that this would work out.
well, they were wrong, weren't they? Because it's been quite a while now. I love the tagline, where wellness meets wanderlust. So that's a great combination of the
Yeah.
two things that you love.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's the
So-
tagline. It's the root of where we want to go, merging those two.
So you now have 5 pillars in GoCo, 5 sections of the company: market research and feasibility, which of course comes first before you start a project, then the concept and brand development, design and technical services, the pre-opening service and training, and then ongoing management. Tell us a little bit about the scope of the company now with these 5 pillars, and you've got 4 global offices. How many people are working at GoCo now?
So we have a total of 850 people working for GoCo. But let me first break down the respective 5 pillars. The 5 pillars came into existence when I looked at what does a development need. And I saw there was many consultants that did one thing or the other and half cooked this, but better in this area. And I said to myself, no. A developer wants to have a one-stop shop. He wants a turnkey approach. He doesn't want to deal with 5 organizations. He wants to deal with one organization. So then I looked at creating best practices in feasibility, concept, and design and operations and things like this. And the way how this even further crystallized is there's a gentleman called Steve Rushmore. Steve Rushmore is the founder of HVS. He is the one who created valuations for hotel companies, and HVS is Hotel Valuation Services. And he saw some of our feasibilities in our concept work. And he called me up and said, Ingo, I think you have something going here. He at that time had 30 offices around the world or so, and very strong in the United States, growing in other parts of the world. And he invited me to New York and said, I want to buy your company. And I looked at that. And while I admire Steve Rushmore, he's the owner and the founder, I could see that he was about to retire. The company may change. Plus, I really didn't want to sell anything. I wanted to create and grow something. So I left New York, flew to Hong Kong to the Hong Kong Investment Conference. I met an old friend called Robert Hecker, chairman of Hobart at the time. I told him about my interesting conversation, and Robert said, "Why don't we look at doing something under Hobart?" And that's how I created Hobart Health and Wellness Worldwide, where we do feasibility studies, valuations, asset management around the globe for many, many assets.
So how is it to have two roles like you do? Is that difficult?
No. We just, which you have to, perhaps you don't know, we just opened 2 weeks ago our first longevity clinic. We bought over the last 2 years 2 hotels, which we are turning around into destination wellness resorts. I'm in the process of establishing a wellness community. In 2015, we bought Glen Ivy, California's biggest
Right.
hot spring resort. So we have different heads in our company, but they're all under the umbrella of Wellness with Wanderlust. So they have all a common denominator, which means how to make people and create environments which make people healthier, get them from perhaps an imbalanced health into a better shape in mental, physical form, and doing the right thing for community, for the
I
world
want
at large.
I wanted to ask you about the Glen Ivy purchase because
Mm.
it seemed risky, right? I mean, you've been
Yeah,
on the management side and advising, but then to take the reins yourself and the ownership
yeah,
of what is an iconic and very large and complex resort.
yeah.
What was the thought process behind taking that risk?
Actually, very simple one. So I flew to Glen Ivy in order to look at the asset, which had many problems. So I was asked to look at this. I arrived there, I walked it, and the general manager at 3 o'clock told me, I cannot give you now. He had just flown in from Asia Pacific. I flown in from Tokyo, actually. I cannot give you an iced tea. And I said, I want a glass of water and iced tea. He said, because my staff, leaves at 3 o'clock. We're closing at 4 o'clock. I said, so you're closing at 4 o'clock? I said, so what about people who have to work for a living? They cannot come
Can't
here.
come here.
He said, yeah, that's really not our issue. And then I looked around and I saw, lucky or unlucky, I saw a very badly run operation. It was run by a famous ISPA member at that time, but I knew that was never been able to make financial sense. So I saw actually an opportunity in somebody having a great asset under management. It was an employee, it was not an owner, but really managing it more for himself and his colleagues. There was a lot of disgruntled issues there. And I said to myself, you can turn this around. So I took every money I have. I asked friends for a loan, and I did we did 108 pitches to banks and investors.
108?
108. And then at the end, I ended up with a bank loan where they believed in it, but they took part of the profits. I took this loan. It took us 3 years. We paid the loan back and we turned the property around and took a normal bank loan then at normal conditions, and quite frankly have since then done substantially better. We have renovated the property. There's not one part of Glen Ivy which is not renovated. Restaurants, treatment rooms, gardens, walkways, pools, name it, it's all renovated. So we didn't take money out. We invested everything we made back inside there in order to make it a viable business.
I can remember when Glen Ivy in Corona would see 800 people on a Saturday. It was like a
Mm.
theme park for grown-ups, but there was
Yeah,
trash everywhere. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
just it
yeah, yeah.
needed some control. So, is it just as busy as it was?
It is as busy as it was, but it's much bigger. We took actually 3 acres of land in addition to this.
Mhm,
It is extremely well managed now with a totally professional team from different walks of life. It has a management. It is managed by somebody who has managed Ritz-Carlton, Mandarin Oriental, and Four Seasons
mhm.
hotels in the world, and it's a totally different ballgame. And we are actually right now in the process of redoing the entire website and collateral because really the property looks very different than you actually can see on the website
Oh,
right
you
now.
need
So,
the new
but
pictures.
yeah, we need no pictures and new visuals and so far. We were last year 158 days sold out. So it is
Amazing.
doing well and it's crisp and clean and the guest satisfaction is over 90%. So it's a different entity.
Well, that's a credit to you and your team and having the vision and the sort of the fortitude to take that
Mm.
risk because it's not everybody that would have been able to pay the bank loan back in 3 years, so good on you. So, at this point, it's probably almost 2020, like, you're deciding, "Okay, this ownership isn't so bad, maybe I'll have another?"
But it happened actually different, but similar. I had a good friend who's a banker for a very large institutional investment group. And this person is a lady. She moved to the Singapore Sovereign Fund in a senior capacity. And she visited me one Sunday. We played together. We knew each other well. We played with the kids in the pool and talked and had dinner. And she said, "Listen, I'm gonna go to this very large fund based out of Singapore, and we're looking for interesting companies to invest in, and we invest into the individuals and into the business of those individuals." And they were not interested in Glen Ivy, so that's a very different company. It has nothing to do with what we're doing here. And he said, "We want to develop, we want to put our efforts behind you, and you telling me that you want to develop wellness resorts, we would be interested to collaborate." And out of this came a collaboration with one of the most prestigious funds here in the Asia Pacific region and us. They have a minority stake in the company, but they are a highly respected company. And I was looking at acquisitions at that time, and I found a Meridian hotel on a 180-meter beachfront, which was like Glen Ivy, badly managed, had the wrong team inside, needed lots of support and help. And we bought this by now 2.5 years ago. And at the end of this year, we're going to reopen this as a totally renovated, reconceptualized, crisp, cutting edge wellness retreat with 6,500 square meter of wellness on the ocean front in Koh Samui.
And what is it
And
called?
it's going to be called Five Elements because in that process, I was vacationing in Bali with my family. Five Elements came onto the market.
Mhm.
And I was literally told at breakfast, we were just about to finish breakfast. Instead of going with the kids to the beach, I said, "We're driving up to Ubud. I want to see Five Elements one more time," which I had visited before and knew
I
before and I
visited it
respected it.
once when it was just open, I haven't been there for years.
So I went
It was
up, looked at
spectacular.
it, and yeah, it is spectacular. And so I said to myself, this is available. And with that, I immediately didn't have to create a brand. I had the
Mm.
brand and I had an operation. And then I said to myself, the entire rollout will be Five Elements branded. So what we're developing now are Five Elements branded destination wellness resorts. So we bought Bali. We are renovating it also right now. We're upgrading it, different management team, things like that. Samui was a major add-on with 6,500 square meter bolted onto a hotel. And it was so beautifully designed that we could really merge this, extremely seamless. We have signed agreements in other countries. In Montenegro, we're creating an entire Five Elements wellness community with real estate, condos, houses, also 6,000 square meter of wellness, a middle spring stream running through the property, things like that. So we are growing the company now in different parts of the world with Five Elements branded wellness retreats, wellness resorts,
Ingo, what's
wellness
going on with
communities.
Montenegro? I mean, with Syro opening there and one and
Yeah.
only, it's not that country has a little bit more to catch up to the standards of luxury in the rest of the world. So what's the interest in Montenegro? What's behind that?
It has a one and only. It has a new Ritz-Carlton coming. It has a Regent. It has a Swiss hotel. It's gorgeous. It's a very small state which came out of the breakup of Yugoslavia. It is part of the European Union. It is visibly very, very beautiful. It has a stunning Amman resort on a small little island right in the center of the country. So there's many good hotels there, but not hundreds. There's like, two hands full. And it has beautiful boating. So it is a bit of well, at this time, perhaps it's a secret, but it will not be a secret for long because it's really
No,
prospering and
sure.
growing.
So that was really a great idea you had to buy the Five Elements, use it as your brand that you will now expand into other locations with. I mean, Five Elements is all the essence of wellness was there.
Yeah, yeah,
Is it operating now in Ubud, or are you closed
yes.
for renovation? It's
No,
open?
it's operating in Ubud at the present, at the site and in the present format. We're going to expand it, make it larger. That's the intent. And we have to renovate some of the inventory which is there, which is now 15 years old. And, also there, when people don't take care of their assets, the assets suffer. But that's the opportunity you have. So the core is so beautiful. It's so true and sincere. We're going to bring this out now. We're going to make it shine again. It got already after 1.5 years of efforts this year, Condé Nast number 10 in the world for destination wellness resort. So I think we're getting there. Yeah, it's fully operating and it will be joined by Samui in 8-9 months from now.
Wonderful. I'm sure it is difficult to keep the assets in shape, especially in tropical locations where
Yeah,
there's so much wood and natural building
yeah,
materials, but they don't always stand the test of the weather, right?
correct.
So now what, Ingo? You said earlier you've got 800 some people in GoCo?
850, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My goodness, that's a long way from the 6 that you started with.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you as a leader, because you are the leader of that team. And how have you evolved over time, and how has your leadership focus evolved?
Well, when I started this company, I was a single man wanting to make a mark as an entrepreneur after a corporate run. I'm a married man with a wonderful wife and 2 wonderful children. My wife works with me. We actually met on the job. She was 23 years old when she was the architect of the Mandarin Oriental in Hong Kong. And her father had built it, which I didn't know at the time. And she had just finished her graduate studies at Columbia, New York. And I thought she was far too young to be the architect for the landmark Mandarin. And I actually asked her boss to perhaps substitute her with somebody else. So out of this came a very humbling experience that the person I got to work with there became my wife, became a family man. And out of this came, of course, a different stability in life. Right? It's a very different Ingo than the globetrotting single hotelier. Then came, of course, the desire and need to develop a team which is interested to be in wellness hospitality, real estate, wellness hospitality operation and consulting, and so on and so forth, is sincere about it, and joins a very different company, because a company like this, Lisa, who operates globally, does those different things. There's not too many of them around, as people also know. So, and it allowed me to bring things alive which I like. And so I run the company as an entrepreneurial company. I feel we are still a startup. We may be 17 years old, but because we're adding things to it and the industry is growing. So we are growing these skill sets of our team members. And how do we do this? We have in our corporate office here in Bangkok, it's 45 people from 16 countries around the world. We have a very beautiful culture. We meet every morning for a DLT, a daily learning time. We spend 15 to 30 minutes discussing a wellness aspect, a financial aspect, a design aspect. And
A
then
whole
a best
group of
practice,
45 or whoever's there that day?
whoever is in town and there that day. I've engaged health food chef 12 years ago. We get every day freshly cooked food, which she buys the food at the organic markets in the morning. There's 2, 3 different vegetables, one fish, one meat, and one brown rice, so that we always can sit and eat together healthy, clean food, which I know is so important for us all to remain well, and not to go to some little snack bar or eat sandwiches or whatever we may do. We have every Friday a health day where different therapists come in and can give our guests and our team members massages of 20-minute intervals. So we have inculcated many different things which we want to stand for. And out of this grew a company which is now working under the same umbrella with the same ethos worldwide, and is really involved in so many projects which are only geared towards wellness hospitality. We don't do anything else. We will never touch anything else. We are only dedicated to one segment, and that's the wellness hospitality segment.
I love a quote that I read that you said, which was that wellness is not a department, it's a philosophy.
Correct.
And so you've woven it into the way that
It's a
you operate
lifestyle.
the business. It's a
It's a
lifestyle.
lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's a dedication you make, and my dedication after having survived had to be that I contribute to a better world at large, and a better world which doesn't know Ingo. So by creating facilities and companies which are in their own right growing and prospering and doing the right thing, I say thank you for having survived, actually. And I don't need them to know me. It's not about me. It's about doing the right thing for society at large. And yes, in that process, I've found a family and I found a business and I have kids. So that makes me even more happy.
So you are able to look at this as your give back, right? Like you survived your cancer and this is how you're giving wellness to others?
Yeah. I'm 65 years old now. I'm now thinking about how will the company prosper when I, in the next few years, slowly but surely, need to pass on the keys to somebody else. And it's not going to be an immediate step, but it's a step which needs to be slowly planned. And there will be people out there who will have the tenacity, the drive, the vision to take on one portion or a larger portion. And at some point, they take my keys, because my last shirt doesn't have a pocket. It's nothing I can take with me.
That's
So
a good way to look at it.
So I have to give it up, and I want to give it up.
So looking ahead, since you brought that up, I do want to speak on what your vision for the future is for wellness. Do you think this is a fad, a moment in time, or is this interest in wellness really here to stay?
I think actually at the beginning. And I say this because, you see, I grew up in Central Europe, right? In Central Europe, sanatoriums were 200, 300, 400 years old. King Bismarck, 18th, 19th century, manifested that anybody who works has the right for 3, 4, 5 weeks of destination wellness. This is what sanatoriums were at that time. They were not financially feasible anymore, so the moves the economies at large made in the 60s and 70s, right? And so they got privatized or they closed down. The wellness movement and the ill health of many people around the world, also what the tobacco and the food industry and whatever created through manipulating what people take in, has led to a health crisis worldwide. The amount of obesity we have, cardiovascular diseases, and so far is vast, is huge. And therefore, it is, for me, clear that this is the beginning of something much bigger to come. And while we're now talking about wellness real estate since a few years, reality is, I believe, we need to look at more now at accessible wellness. We cannot only do something for the people who have $1 million to drop for a house no more. It has to go into a different direction. And therefore, the wellness movement, the longevity movement, and whichever name we want to give it and whatever acronyms we're going to come up with, will continue to prosper. And and this company has done one part of it, or the companies we have formed, they will do one part of it, but there will be others, and there will be other groups who will concentrate on different elements, and it has already happened and will diversify further. So I think the future is very bright, but I think we're in the beginning. I think the biggest issue we have, and if you want to talk about the issues, maybe it's education. We need more people who have learned how to operate, create, and manifest those wellness visions for the different market segments which are out there. Because the wellness industry, the wellness economy grew faster than the individuals or the companies which are working in it. So there needs to be much more of this created in order to sustain the growth. But that's a good problem to have, and that's where people like Professor Macron, Professor Budico, and others come in who develop curriculums and master of wellness classes and related in order to grow the educational component.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. How will we do that? I mean, we talk as consultants about the fact that we're all aging too, and there aren't that many consultants in the Middle Ages like coming up behind us. How do you learn
Yeah.
how to do this work? What can we do now to ensure that there are people to take our places?
Well, we do best practice. I mean, for me, my answer is I best practice what we preach through examples I shared with you, how we work and operate and eat and relate it. There's 850 people in my organization who live that, some more, some less, but they're all dedicated to this. And I believe pure need in the marketplace. There's so many countries which are at a huge ill health today. Also, governments understanding this, and I'm lucky living in a country like Thailand, where wellness is 20% of GDP at the end. So there are countries, institutions, and institutional investors, i.e. the Singapore Sovereign Fund, coming into this. So I believe the future will be positive, but in anything which is entrepreneurially new, it is not a straight line. It will go through ups and downs. But if you look at the pandemic, which was the last and biggest illness the world had to grapple with over the last few years, the wellness facilities did extremely well during and after the pandemic.
They sure did.
They sure did. And there will be more pandemics. COVID is not the only pandemic that's going to hit us. In 2 or 3 years, something else will be there. And that will make people much more conscious about that they need to do something for themselves. That's one thing. The second thing is I also believe many people have understood that they cannot just pop pills, that they have to change and look at their lifestyle. So I believe the consciousness of the world at large is growing, and people will want to do the right thing for themselves. And therefore it will grow and it will prosper.
So too, I think the younger people today are much more conscious than we were at that
Yes.
age about
Correct.
taking
Yes.
care of the body that they were given and,
Yes.
wearing their sunscreen and eating right. They
Yes.
all walk around with water bottles. We never
Yes.
did that.
We never did that. No, I think
So-
statistically, I think 41% of the total global wellness spending is actually driven by millennials and Generation X. So there's more and more younger ones who are now spending much more through efforts we have done and consciousness we have brought into the world, which is good. The next generation needs to take it over and moves it further.
So I'm curious what you think about longevity, the concept, the word. I mean, is it wellness? Is it different? How do you look at that word?
Well, I look at it, of course, under the angle of what I did in my life to achieve longevity, right? So I did this through a meticulous dietary planning and going through many specialist doctors to really understand what I had and what I need to do. I have now our first longevity clinic, and I use the clinic as a client as much as I'm involved in setting it up and getting it around and marketing it and things like this. precision medicine, understanding what the blood tells us. Because in our blood, there's many, many stories and there's many, many wayfinding directives of what to do. I have clearly, besides the fact that I practice yoga and eat right and have a positive mindset and have a community at home as well as in the company, I clearly was in imbalances. I had imbalances. I had mineral trace materials missing in my body. Certain things were not properly balanced. And I learned through precision medicine, through applying the longevity modalities by analyzing scientifically the data which my body can share, what needs to be done. And I'm now a happier and healthier person because of that. And I believe the future will be in a merger of where the data mining through longevity tests combined with alternative medicine or complementary alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, homeopathy, movement forms, and so forth and so forth. This will create a better and healthier society. So I think longevity clinics, while they now sound esoteric and special, yes, and there's not too many good ones. And even the tests today, there's only a few countries in the world who really can have cutting edge tests. Now, but I also know people now already who are looking into laboratories to really test as much as they can in every part of the world. So this will lead to the world knowing more about what they need to do and where their illnesses patterns are. They know the modalities they need to apply in order to remedy them. And longevity clinics and the know-how about longevity is just one part. But I agree with you that the term longevity or biohacking, my grandmother did biohacking because for the first 10 years in my life, I never took pills. She gave me this food concoction or this steam bath or whatever remedy she had in order for me to overcome whatever I had as a child. That's biohacking. But today there's biohacking bars and lounges where they give you elixirs and food and all related. It has a different term. It's more sexier marketed and it's better packaged, but it's actually the same. So that's why I believe in the longevity of the industry at large. And that's why I know that things like biohacking, longevity are different forms what happens before, but with the latest technology and medical know-how in research.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that longevity or your longevity clinic, say, has more data, more testing, more precision medicine than maybe
More
a
precision medicine.
typical wellness clinic would?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, you can read the pulse and the iris and the tongue and many other things, and you can learn a lot. But your blood really tells you in the greatest detail of where you are. And that cannot be done at this moment, or not commonly can be done. There's for sure people out there, healers, wonderful healers around the world. And it's just one element of a health journey. It is not the ultimate, it's not the only one. By no means. It's just another element. It's the same like your morning breathing classes or your morning yoga, or it's a portion of what one needs to do in order to get older with a healthy state of mind and a healthy body and do the right thing again for society. Because as longer you're old and you don't become ill, you don't cost the society, but you're a contributing person to society. And while this is far away from what wellness practitioners or wellness clinics or spas talk about, but that's what it leads to. If you are many more years productive and a good member of society who doesn't have to be 10 years in his last 10 years in hospital, the world would be such a better place.
So much
It's
so.
so simple, not
Simple and
complicated.
yet and hard, right? Because the
Yes,
concept is easy, but doing it and sticking with it is hard. I mean,
yes,
you have
yes.
stuck with it. You have been 30 plus years since your cancer diagnosis, and
Yeah.
you haven't wavered. You keep living with it. So I'm wondering if in closing you have any advice for younger listeners who want to work in the wellness profession. Is there anything that you would have done differently when you look back now on your long career?
Um, Good question. Yes, I would have done something different for sure. I would not have been so long in corporate environments which don't allow me to bring out what I can now bring out and do for
Mhm.
society, for myself, for the company, and everybody else. But then it was at that time the right thing to do. I needed to go through corporate setups to understand and do what I have to do. So it was commensurate with the needs of this time. But today, there is so many ways of learning so much more about health and wellness. And there is so much need in the industry at large to become a contributor and a leader in it. Leadership, educated leadership is needed in our industry, as we both know.
Mhm.
And so there's many roles people can play in whichever form, in whichever facet, broader or more focused on only nutrition or only movement or only psychology or only that depends. So I believe people should embark on it because the future will be very bright. And as more crises we have around the world, as more need for wellness is there, you can see every time. And I understood that 9/11, Lisa. I had 5 spas at that time on the East Coast in the United States.
Mm.
9/11 made every hotel empty. The spas were packed.
Mhm.
I have data through the pandemic, how luxury hotel players did in comparison to wellness hotels. And wellness hotels did so much better. And so far and so forth. So there's many reasons which are clear indicators that the world will go down more towards the wellness route in many forms and shapes. And I just can encourage people to look into this because they will have a career and they will have a meaningful contribution to life for themselves, but also society at large.
That's beautiful. And we always like to say that people who come into wellness from other industries never leave. They love
Yes.
working in wellness.
Yeah.
I want to close.
It's a positive vibe. It's a positive spirit.
Oh, for sure, the positive
Mm.
vibe. Everyone is positive and cheerful, and yeah, it's a wonderful industry to work in.
Yeah.
I wanted to just share another quote with listeners of yours that I read when I was reading up on your latest musings. And I think it's really powerful. You said the world does not need more five-star hotels, it needs five-star human experiences.
Correct.
So true.
So true. Simple. Again, simple, but true.
Well, thank you, Ingo Schweder, CEO and founder of GoCo and visionary wellness person. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story about everyone comes to wellness a different way. And I'm sorry it came through an illness for you, but it was a positive journey in the end.
Thank you for contacting. Thank you for being in touch, Lisa, and good to see you.
You too.